let's get to it. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ben's MicroVision podcast, a podcast for entertainment and general information purposes only, not a financial advice podcast. It's a great pleasure to be back with you once again. We've got a lot of stuff to go through, from automotive to industrial to defense, across both LiDAR and augmented reality. The main focus of this episode is going to be augmented reality. For those of you who are new, my name's Ben. I was MicroVision's global product manager for wearable displays between 2006 and 2011, and now here I am 14 years later, continuing on my quest to bring you the very best MicroVision related information that I can. So with that in mind, let's get into it. Welcome everybody to episode 17 of Ben's MicroVision podcast, titled Augmented Realities, presented by myself and brought to you by LaserRoasted.com, my specialty coffee company. 1 cup and you'll say, make mine laser roasted. Here's a disclaimer. The disclaimer is intended to let you know that even though I used to work for MicroVision, I have not in some time, and so I do not represent the company. I'm just an individual speaking on my own behalf. All the information is given on a best effort basis. There's no guarantee to accuracy, timeliness, or completeness, and in the event that you take an action based on this, that is your prerogative, but it's not my responsibility. All right, the long-awaited Soldier-Borne Mission Command awards came from the Army earlier this month. $159 million was allocated to the team of Anduril and Meta, and $195 million was allocated to Rivet Industries. Here is a graphic of the eagle eye on your left-hand side. Somebody tweeted this. And then on the right-hand side is the Rivet Industries hard spec glasses that we presume will form the basis of their offer. Interestingly, it is not known who is the display engine provider for each of these products. What is known is the schedule for delivering prototypes for government testing. On the contract document on the internet, it says the government's expectation is the prototypes for government testing will be delivered within 7 months of award of any resulting OT agreement, that's other transaction. So 7 months from now is April 2026, when the government expects to see some prototypes coming from these awards. Flat panel display maker Kopin announced that they had been awarded $15.4 million from the U.S. Army to create a color MicroLED technology production capability. They went on to describe the challenges of that award in a conference call. I had the opportunity to listen into the conference call so I could understand better what was going on, and these are my notes from the call. The color MicroLED is a difficult display to manufacture. It's a significant, difficult development with risk to it. Currently, Kopin has a monochrome MicroLED that is not in production. The contract effort that the $15.4 million from the Army supports is a ground-up design that is challenging. The primary challenge that was described is stability of yield and full color. So in previous episodes, we've talked about the challenges with MicroLED having to do with affixing the tiny pixels in place on the substrate in such a way that they all work appropriately, because you're dealing with very, very tiny little objects, and they all have to be aligned, and they can't have any defects of any kind. If you have any defects, that renders the whole panel, unusable. So the placement of the imaging elements on the tiny flat panel surface is a tricky thing to get yield. So how many are perfect versus how many do you start with? And that's the yield. And when the yield is low, that makes the cost very high. So the other thing about this is that the outcome of this effort with the Army and Kopin is 2027. So they would not expect to have a full color micro LED manufacturing capability until 2027. So what does that mean? So what that says to me is that it's not possible that there could be a Kopin micro LED microdisplay in either the Eagle Eye or the Rivet hard spec glasses for the reason that they don't have a color micro LED. And they're probably not going to say, here's our prototype, it's a monochrome. So that means it's got to be something else. Now, I understand what the Army is seeking to accomplish. They want to have a domestic secondary source for microdisplays because they know that micro LED is theoretically a very useful and good thing for creating very tiny microdisplays for augmented reality. So they are standing up this capability by making this $15.4 million investment so that they can have what I would presume to be a secondary source of microdisplay technology available to them. I say it's a secondary source because it can't be the primary source because they already have to have prototypes in April of the coming year. Here's an update that the Program Executive Office Soldier posted to their LinkedIn a few days ago. Product Manager Soldier-Borne Mission Command has successfully concluded Mission 1 of the Continuous Operational Learning and Test Initiative with the Transformation in Contact Unit of the 10th Mountain Division. This mission saw soldiers from 310 Mountain Division using SBMC surrogate systems and integrated architecture to facilitate the seamless handoff of medium-range reconnaissance assets to forward scout elements at the company level. The exercise showcased the SBMC surrogate's capabilities, including heads-up display-based asset tasking and full-motion video viewing. PDM SBMC remains committed to innovating and developing a system that enhances the survivability and lethality of the close combat force. Here's a quick tour of the carousel of images that was included in that post. What jumps out to me here is, I think, the advantage of incumbency that Anduril Meta are going to enjoy by virtue of having bought the original contract, because here is the original contract at work. Here's your IVAS 1.2 displays on your soldiers using the reconnaissance tooling and, of course, their weapons, and they're communicating with one another. So they're putting the system through its paces in real-world simulation type environment. And so all these learnings are directly applicable to everything that they're going to build going forward. So here you see the drone with the soldier. The soldier has the display on, and they're going to be able to receive a feed from the drone so they can see what's ahead and all the capabilities that we talked about. So what's, I think, of interest for the people watching this is that these Soldier-Borne Mission Command surrogate systems are the IVAS 1.2, which are the militarized HoloLens 2, which of course features MicroVision laser beam scanning displays for each eye. Here's the video that Microsoft produced to correspond with the launch of the HoloLens 2 in 2019. There's your MicroVision MEMS scanner, the miracle engine that makes this all possible. And here are some of the tremendous use cases where we can interact with virtual objects that appear to hover at arm's length in front of us. We can use gestures to control the device. We can perform medical procedures. It's absolutely wild. And all of this is made possible, look at this, by MicroVision laser beam scanning projectors. And Microsoft went out of their way to make sure that people would not associate these tremendous use cases and the power with MicroVision instead of Microsoft. So that was kind of like really bad. Shortly after Anduril purchased the contract from Microsoft for the IVAS, Palmer Luckey, who's the boss of Anduril, came to the MicroVision Reddit board and posted this post. Palmer Luckey is a believer in MVIS technology. Founder of Oculus VR and Anduril, just took over HoloLens / IVAS. So there's your data point. You've got the boss of the group comes to the Reddit board of the stock for the company who makes the laser beam scanning displays in both the HoloLens and the IVAS, and says he's a believer in the technology. He didn't have to say that. He didn't have to do this at all. But he felt compelled. He had been working with the technology as, integrating Lattice into it. He had been basically building up the confidence and conviction to go ahead and buy out this contract and become the incumbent and get access to these displays. Now, it should be noted that neither Anduril nor Rivet have come out and said, we're going to use MicroVision laser beam scanning displays in our prototype systems that we intend to deliver by April 2026. But at the same time, they haven't said what they're using instead. Just one other data point. The Program Executive Office Soldier tweeted this out on August 8th. The Soldier-Borne Mission Command surrogate systems offer soldiers an unprecedented tool to plan, rehearse, and execute their mission. We're proud to outfit soldiers from the 4th Infantry Division as they protect the southern border. #SBMC, #ArmyStrong, #WeCanSeeYou. And I absolutely love this image of the soldier wearing the Soldier-Borne Mission Command surrogate system, launching his miniaturized drone over the border so he can see anybody that's coming. He can see what the drone feed brings back to him. And there he is, proudly representing our country. So, it's a data point. It's a data point that the Army's proud to put him on the southern border. It's a data point that they are continuing to actively test and rehearse and various scenarios with the SBMC surrogate systems. It's a data point that Palmer Luckey is a believer in MicroVision technology. It's a data point that the prototypes are due April 2026. It's a data point that micro-LEDs in full color are challenging to manufacture, and there's a program that will not end until 2027 that's intended to stand up that capability and fund that challenging development with Kopin. As another data point, I'd like to reference Sumit Sharma's commentary in March of this year on the Q4 2024 conference call. And he stated the following: "The world is changing. A new era of opportunity for our advanced technology in military applications has appeared. With expansion expected in defense spending under the current administration and lots of realignment happening with this sector, our mature technologies in augmented reality will be promoted for defense programs. As investors will recall, for over 30 years, MicroVision has delivered technology for various military programs. The company was founded for this segment. We have participated in programs for U.S. Army Virtual Co-Pilot, for high-resolution full-color helmet-mounted display, U.S. Military General Dynamics Mounted Warrior Program with helmet-mounted display for armored vehicle use, U.S. Army Aviation and Missile Command Program for Boeing for binocular helmet-mounted display for Comanche helicopter, 4 U.S. Air Force full-color head-mounted display for Air Force eyewear. That's one that I was there for. A U.S. Military Battle Command Battle Lab for head-mounted display. And most recently, we were part of the HoloLens product developed for the military. We are very strong in this area and expect to bring a military advisor that will help us partner with larger companies in the space for partnership. Okay, let's take a deep breath for one moment and think about something even more important than all this, which is the origin story of the laser-roasted kaiju mascot. Just brings a tear to your eye. If you would like to join the ranks of the Laser Roasted customers, just go to laserroasted.com, or you can even shop directly on the YouTube page that you're watching this on right now. So try out our variety of coffees. We've also got some delicious beef jerky. Try something out. See what you think. Among the Defense Advisory Board 3-person group is Dr. Scott Goldstein, who was formerly the chief scientist for Anduril, is currently an Anduril advisory board member, as well as being the senior vice president of Parsons Corporation, and there he is, advisory board member for MicroVision. So that seems to suggest that MicroVision has credibility in the space and is able to attract and onboard top talent such as Dr. Scott Goldstein. All right, let's switch gears for a minute and go from the military to the consumer side, where there was a very significant event. It is the launch of Meta's Ray-Ban display glasses. Here are the Meta Ray-Ban display glasses being launched. Here's the LensCrafters site. LensCrafters is, of course, owned by EssilorLuxottica, the world's largest vertically integrated eyewear manufacturer. And here they are with their very first pair of glasses. My welcome offer is waiting. Here they are, the first display of its kind, a 600 by 600 pixel visual display built into the right lens of the glasses. Okay, so what they're using is a LCOS panel, the 600 pixels by 600 pixels, and some form of waveguide that projects the image into the lens. And of course, they've got their neural band controller that's going to allow you to actually type with your wrist and engage with the system. So this is really pretty amazing. There's cameras in the glasses. There's speakers in the glasses. And, get directions as you walk. These are all the use cases that we've talked about being delivered via this 600 by 600 LCOS display. Connect in another language. What a killer app this is. Okay, I'm in a foreign country and I can't read the language. Well, with these glasses you could, and that is tremendous. Make video calls. Here I can see a little postage stamp version of my friend there, and check your messages. So, they're selling these for $800, and possibly, these could be a huge wildfire runaway success. So it's probably a good time to take a look at this tweet from SMR Vision on Twitter, or X, where he reminds folks of what the boss of the Meta augmented reality optics and technology group had to say. I posted a clip from the YouTube video that this was originally posted in, but it shows the ready technology being LCOS, moving to anticipated technology of MicroLED, which they then talk about some of the challenges, and then the final solution being a laser scanning display. So here we are with the very first product launching this month with an LCOS panel. We talked a lot about how MicroLED has some kind of inherent technological challenges having to do with the scalability and the yield. And the thing about the glasses adventure, as far as Meta and Essilor, I'm sure, are concerned, is that the scale is the thing. So it's easy enough to stamp out these LCOS panels. It's an order of magnitude more difficult with the MicroLED panels. That's why the Army has to invest $15.4 million into Kopin in order to stand up a domestic MicroLED capacity, because it doesn't exist. And the challenges are about the yield, as the Kopin people discussed on their conference call earlier. But going back to this one, the commentary around the slide as it was being presented by the Meta AR boss was that laser beam scanning is going to be significantly more power efficient than MicroLED or LCOS. And power efficiency is vitally important because it drives how long the device lasts between charges. It also drives how much heat the system generates, as well as the size of the battery that's required. So, power efficiency is the thing when it comes to embedding a display engine inside of eyewear that's intended for all-day use. So we've gone through a bunch of data points that describe MicroVision's history in augmented reality for soldier systems, MicroVision's history as part of the HoloLens 2, as part of the IVAS, and then the support from the Anduril boss that he put forward in the Reddit board. So there's a confounding element to all of this, which I'm going to share with you. So a confounding element to me is that MicroVision doesn't stake its claim to its ownership of the fundamental intellectual property around laser beam scanning, its history of launching a product with Microsoft, the HoloLens 2, which is now the IVAS, and doesn't describe any of that stuff. Its external-facing website and communication is strictly about LiDAR and sensing and perception. So you'd be forgiven for not knowing that MicroVision is in the augmented reality hardware space at all. In other news, we welcome a couple of new hires to MicroVision. John Chu, a drone application innovator, is now joining as principal avionics software engineer for MicroVision. He was previously drone application innovator, principal software and research engineer for a company called Rapid Flight LLC in Manassas, Virginia. They make integrated end-to-end unmanned aircraft systems with the ability to aggressively respond to mission requirements and dramatically reduce the time from concept to mission. Now this drone application innovator is your principal avionics software engineer for MicroVision. So the drone demonstration is full speed ahead, and we're now building a team to go fulfill it. Along with John Chu, we've also attracted Zach Vavrek, a principal electrical engineer, also previously with Rapid Flight for 3 years and 8 months. He's now also a principal avionics engineer for MicroVision. So welcome, Zach. So I think it's going to do it for this one. There was some more stuff in the other verticals that MicroVision actually actively talks about, but we'll get to those next week. I want to say thanks to everybody for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your comments and questions. Thank you for buying on Laser Roasted. Thank you for your reviews on Laser Roasted. Thank you for watching it all. I really appreciate it, and I'm grateful to have you with me for this fun adventure of trying to figure out what's going on with MicroVision. So appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next weekend.